Hello, today we're going to be doing 2 rounds of notes again. The first one is 4.4, the side angle relationships in a triangle, and the second one's going to be 4.5, which is the triangle inequality theorem. So first one, side or angle side relationships in a triangle. The largest side is across or opposite from the largest angle. The smallest side is across or opposite from the smallest angle. All right. If in a triangle 2 sides are congruent, then the angles opposite them are congruent. So the side lengths and angles correspond with each other. So example 1 says, list the angles from smallest to largest in measures. Now you notice we don't have any of the measurements, but we can know their order based on their sides. So we know the smallest angle is going to be across from the smallest side. When I look at my sides, I've got 6, 7, and 9. My smallest side is going to be the 6. So look, the angle opposite of that, or across from it, is angle T. So angle T is our smallest angle. The next smallest side is side 7 centimeters. All right, the angle opposite of that is angle R, so that'd be our medium or our middle angle, which means our final angle, or our largest angle, will be across from that largest side of 9 centimeters. That one is going to be angle S. Example 2, list the sides in order from shortest to longest, and they only give us the angles. So we know that the side that's going to be the shortest is going to be from the smallest angle. So look at that. I have angles of 20, 35, and 125. My smallest angle is 20, so the side opposite of 20 is CB. So CB is going to be my shortest side. Again, we don't know the exact length, we know it's going to be the shortest. My next one is 35. 35 is across from AB. So that'd be my medium one, which leaves my last one. This 125 is opposite or across from AC, so that's going to be my largest side. All right, example 3 says list the angles and the sides in ascending of the triangle in ascending order, which means smallest to largest. Now, they give us the angles. We know we have 24 and 98. We need to find that missing angle of M. So how could we find that missing angle here? Well, we know a triangle adds up to 180, so I can do 180 minus 24 minus 98, and that gets me 58 degrees. So we can now put the angles in order. I would say my smallest angle is angle K. My next one is angle M, and my largest angle is angle L. Now we can go and order the sides based on their ordering. So the smallest angle I see is 24. That is across from the side LM, so that's going to be my smallest side. The next angle that is relatively small is this 58. That's across from the side KL. And that means my largest angle, which is 98, is across from KM. And those would be the orders of my sides. Now, when we do this, we need to make sure that we are comparing sides and angles in the same triangle. So when we have a situation like example 4, we have multiple triangles. You have to focus on one triangle at a time. Now, when looking at this, I have a lot of missing angles. So first off, we have to fill in the missing angles here. So I see DHG, this triangle right here. I'm going to highlight it for us. DHG. All right, this triangle right here, they tell us 120 and 32, so I can find that missing side there. 180 minus 120 minus 32 would give me 28 degrees. All right, over here with this triangle, EGF. All right. I have 17 and the 113, so I can do 180 minus 113 minus 17. When I do that, I get 50 degrees. And then finally, we have this middle triangle here, DEG. Now, the issue here is they only give us one of the angles there, but we can find all the other ones using some context clues here. I can find angle E because it's a linear pair with that 113. So I can do 180 minus 113 and get 67. And then I can do 180 minus 67 minus 48. All right, and that gives me 65. So we have now completed all the angles in our triangle, and now we can start looking at them. So they want to figure out what's the relationship between the sides. They want us to know which side is larger. So we have DH and GH here. So DH, okay, and GH. So look at this, DH is across from or opposite of that 32 degrees. And GH is across or opposite from that 28. So I'm looking at this, well, the bigger angle is that 32, so I would say that DH is bigger than GH. Okay. Okay. All right, next up, we have DE. All right, DE and DG. So we're in this green triangle here. So DE is across from that 65 degrees. And DG is across from the 67. So I would say that DG is greater than DE. All right, next is EG. EG and FG. So that's in this little pink triangle we have here. EG is across from that 50 degrees. FG is across from that 113. So clearly the 113 is larger, which means that FG is going to be larger than EG. And finally, GF and GD. Now this isn't part of a triangle that we've looked at. That's part of this big triangle. So I'm going to highlight that for us. It's part of this big triangle here. So if I look at that, GF is across from the 48 degrees. GD is across from that 50 degrees. So I would say that GD is greater than GF. All right, so we can even have triangles within each other. Again, you can only compare them when they're in the same triangle, though. All right, next one. It says determine which segment is shortest in the diagram. So we're going to look at each triangle separately. So the first triangle I'm going to look at is triangle CDB. Okay, we have two angles in there. We've got the 110 and the 32. I'm going to find that missing angle real quick. 180 minus 110 minus 32 gets me 38. Oops, 110. All right, so I'm going to listen from the shortest to largest. So the shortest angle is going to be across from the smallest angle. The smallest angle there is 32. All right, 32 is across from side CD. So I'd say CD is our shortest. Okay, my next smallest angle is 38. 38 is across from DB. And that means my longest is that 110, which is across from CB. Again, we can only compare them when they're in the same triangle. So now we're looking at the other triangle here. The other triangle is triangle DBA. We need to find that missing angle real quick. So I'm going to do 180 minus 114 minus 30, and I get 36. My smallest angle here is that 30. That is across from DB. Next is the 36, which is across from BA. And then my largest is that 114, which is across from AD. Now they want to know what is the shortest one. Well, let's look. We know in our first triangle, the smallest one was CD. And in our second triangle was DB. If we compare it though, if we look up here, DB is actually bigger than CD in that first triangle. So I would say our smallest side is going to be CD. Okay, so we know that DB is actually larger than that CD in our second triangle, which is how you kind of connect the two. B, can the longest side be determined? The answer here is no. Okay, the picture needs to be drawn to scale. Okay, our longest side is either going to be CB or AD. We don't know how the two of them exactly relate. We don't know how much bigger CB is than DB and kind of comparing it from that. And finally, example 6, it says AC is bigger or greater than CX, and BX is greater than or bigger than BD. Put the angles in smallest from largest. It's a lot going on there. We have 4 angles here to focus on. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now they give us some clues here. So the first couple clues they give us, they say that AC is bigger than CX, which means AC is the longest side and CX is the smallest side. All right, so if I see AC is right here. This side is going to be our large side, and CX is going to be our smaller side, which means I can compare angles 1 and 2 real quick. I would know that angle 2 is going to be our big angle, and angle 1 is going to be our smaller angle. So I'm going to have the measurement of angle 2, all right, and then the order, the bigger angle should be angle 1. So I have that order kind of happening there. Oh, wait, hold on. I had that backwards. Sorry, guys. My smallest angle is angle 1. My bigger angle is angle 2 in that picture. All right, for this next one, the hint they give us, BX is greater than or bigger than BD. So BX is our big side. BD is my smaller side. So I know on that one there, I know my smaller angle is going to be angle 3 and my larger angle is going to be angle 4. Now they want us to put it in order from smallest to largest. Now it's really hard to compare one triangle to the next. This one's a great thing here. Look at angle 2 and angle 3. What types of angles are those? Those are vertical angles, which means they're equal to each other. So I know that these are the exact same. So I can put them in order of angle 1, all right, now we have the triangle inequality theorem. Inequality, that means there's not going to be equal signs here. We're going to be using greater than or less than. It says the sum of any two sides must be greater than the length of the third side. So if I have a side or triangles and I have all 3 sides listed, in order for it to be an actual triangle, you have to add the 2 sides and they must be greater than the third side. So example 1 says find the measure of 2 sides of a triangle, or the measure of 2 sides of a triangle are 5 and 8. So we know 2 of the sides are 5 and 8. They want us to find the range, which means there's going to be multiple possibilities of the length of the third side. So here's how we do this. You're going to take those 2 numbers and you're going to subtract them. So I'm going to say 8 minus 5. And that gives me 3. That's the lowest number that third side could be. Okay. The greatest number is you're going to add those 2 together. 8 plus 5 is 13. So our third side could be anywhere between 3 and 13. All right, so that's how you find out. We're going to be doing, you subtract the 2 smallest ones and you add the 2 ones together. Example 2, is it possible to form a triangle with the given side length? So how we figure this out, you're going to add the 2 smallest sides, okay, and they have to be greater than the third side. So looking here, I have the side lengths 3, 4, and 6. All right, my smallest are 3 and 4. So if I take 3 plus 4, it needs to be greater than 6 in order to make it a triangle. All right, well, 3 plus 4 is 7. Is 7 greater than 6? Yeah, it is. So yes, this could make a triangle. Number 2, 6 and 9 are our 2 smallest sides here. If I add 6 plus 9, it has to be greater than 15. Let's see, 6 plus 9 is 15. Is 15 greater than 15? No. All right, so this could not make a triangle. Try the last one on your own. All right, we have 2, 5, and 8. The two smallest sides are 2 and 5. 2 plus 5 needs to be greater than 8. Well, 2 plus 5 is 7. Is 7 greater than 8? Nope, so this could not make a triangle. Example 3, if two sides of a triangle are 2/3 and 5/2, find a range for this length of the third side. Again, how we find the range, we take the two and we subtract them, and you take the two and you add them. So we're going to do 5/2 minus 2/3. Type that into your calculator using parentheses. When we do that, we get 11/6. Second thing is you add them together. 5/2 plus 2/3 gives me 19/6. So my range is anywhere between 11/6 and 19/6. Where it gets a little tricky is if the triangle, sides of the triangle are x plus 3, x plus 7, and 3x plus 1. So let's draw a picture real quick to help us out here. Here's my triangle. This side's going to be x plus 3. This will be x plus 7. And this will be 3x plus 1. Now, unfortunately, we don't really know which two sides are the smallest here, right? So we don't have numbers. We don't know what x is. So it could be pretty much anything. So we're going to have to go through and we're going to have to kind of do up here in the directions. We're going to have to do 3 rounds of equations to figure out what our possibilities are. So we're going to pick two sides. We're going to add them up, and then it has to be greater than the third side. So let's do this side right here plus this side. So I'm going to say x plus 3 plus x plus 7. So those two sides have to be greater than the third side. Well, the third side there is 3x plus 1. So let's do some math here. I've got x and x, which gives me 2x. I've got 3 and 7, which gives me 10. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. All right, so I have that 9 has to be greater than x. All right, so that means that x has to be less than 9, essentially. We're going to repeat this process now, because we have to do it for all the other sides. So I'm going to take a combination of 2 other sides. So I'm going to add up this side and this side. When I do that, it has to be greater than the third side. So I'm going to say x plus 7 plus 3x plus 1 has to be greater than x plus 3. I'm going to combine like terms. I get 4x plus 8 has to be greater than x plus 3. I'm going to subtract x from both sides, so I get 3x plus 8 is greater than 3. I'm going to subtract that 8 over, so I get 3x is greater than negative 5. And then divide by 3, x has to be greater than negative 5/3. Now let's think here real quick. Can x be a negative number there? Do we want to have negative side values? Not really, so we're going to cross this out. It's not going to be part of our range there. And finally, all right, we add 2 more sides there. We haven't added this x plus 3 together or the 3x plus 1. So I'm going to say x plus 3 plus 3x plus 1 has to be greater than that x plus 7. So I have 4x plus 4 is greater than x plus 7. I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So I get 3x plus 4 is greater than 7. Subtract 4 from both sides. Divide by 3. I get x is greater than 1. So I have my range here. All right, I have that the biggest number it can be is 9, and the smallest number it can be is 1. So my range would be 1 is less than x, which is less than 9. Right, you always write your range the same way there. And finally, last question, angle restrictions. In the triangle, AB is less than AC. Find the upper and lower restrictions of x. So here's how we're going to do this. It says AB, so this side right here, AB, is smaller than AC. So those are side lengths. We need to see how the angles relate. So this is my smaller side, this is my larger side. That means which of those angles is going to be my smaller angle? Well, it's going to be opposite of that smaller side. So I know that x plus 1 is my smaller angle, and 3x minus 5 is my larger angle. So I can make that, I can say x plus 1 is less than 3x minus 5. And I can solve for that. I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Add 5 to both sides. And divide by 2. All right, and I have that x has to be greater than 3. Now, that is the lower restriction. That's the lowest number x can be. Okay, to get the highest restriction, we know in a triangle, what do the angles have to add up to? 180. All right, so that means that all three angles, A plus B plus C, all have to be 180. So I know that I can't add just B and C, those two angles, and it equal 180. Because if two angles equal 180, there's no way you can make a triangle. So what I could say here is I could say 3x minus 5 plus x plus 1 has to be less than 180. All right, because we have to be able to have three angles for that triangle. So I can say 4x minus 4 is less than 180. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And then divide by 4.